Hey guys, welcome and ting and ting and ting. And we're back with another video for you, and we are going off to Scotland. Yes, that one message I think this one is called Thomas the Rhymer, and it's from Scotland's history. You understand? I don't know who this is or what this is about, but I'm gonna learn because that's what we're gonna do here. Before I continue, let me thank everybody for watching with me. I want to really thank you all for commenting and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Thanks to those who donated, through the super thanks, and also to those who donated to my Buy Me a Coffee, which is in the link in the description and thing, you know what I mean? I'm really enjoying this. Hopefully soon I'll be able to enjoy it in person. You understand what I mean? I'm working on that Bible thing, you know what I mean? But anyway, I ain't gonna babble on too much, you know what I mean? Thank you guys. Thank you so much, you know what I mean? I'm learning a lot from y'all's comments too, so keep commenting, okay? Let's YouTube and simmer and see what this is all about.
No other poet in the Scottish borders is more shrouded in mystery or quoted as a prophet than Sir Thomas of Ercildoune, also known as Thomas Learmont, but better known as Thomas the Rhymer. His life is wrapped up in romantic and legendary folklore. Little is known about the man himself, but his prophecies and poetry have survived as an enduring legacy. A laird, Thomas Learmont, or Learmonth, was born at what is now Earlston, in Berwickshire, around 1220, and he first springs to fame in around 1286, when it is said that on a visit to Dunbar Castle, Patrick IV, the 8th Earl of Dunbar and Earl of March, jokingly inquired if anything remarkable was to happen in the next few days. To his surprise,
beautiful sunset.
Thomas told him, "Alas, for tomorrow a day of misery and calamity. Before the 12th hour shall be heard a blast, so vehement that it shall exceed all those which have been yet heard in Scotland. A blast which shall strike the nation with amazement, shall confound those who hear it, shall humble what is lofty, and what is unbending shall level to the ground." The following day, the Earl, who had noticed no change in the weather, was just preparing to seat himself at his table, having decided at the 9th hour that Thomas was telling tales, when a messenger arrived with news. Alexander III had fallen from his horse over rocks between Kinghorn and Burnt Island in Fife, and was killed. From this remarkable prophecy, the rhymer became known as True Thomas. From here on in, romantic tales of his time with the fairies evolved.
You know something I've noticed that in ancient time the words romantic or romance was used a lot. You know, so if you're telling a tale of something that seemed far-fetched or unbelievable, it's considered romantic. You understand what I'm saying? Thing, and of course there's romantic love and stuff like that too. You know, all stories coming out of ancient times and stuff. You know, medieval times and all of that. And I think that's that's one of the things I like about history. It was romanticized. Now, as far as the wars and stuff is concerned, I don't think that's very romantic there, you know what I mean? No specific stories coming out of it, might be romantic, but the war itself, there's nothing romantic about it. And I've been bombs, and I'm drawing a reference to myself now, but I've had bombs dropped on me, been shot at, been thrown on the ground, and I'm 16 put to the back of my head and stuff, straight on, you communist, I ain't no communist, but I've had that happen to me, before. Didn't feel romantic one bit. I ain't gonna lie to you. It did not. Let's keep going here.
The Queen of Fairyland had heard of his fame, and one day she decided to visit him. An interview took place at Huntly Bank, a slope on the Eildon Hill, about halfway between Melrose and where Abbotsford stands today. Following their conversation, Thomas ventured into Fairyland with her, where he ended up staying for 7 years. Although he wrote many poems in his lifetime, he never wrote about his experiences there, as the Queen, he said, had sworn him to secrecy. She had also bound him to return to fairyland whenever she wished him to do so. After the 7 years, Thomas returned to the Eildon Hill, took up position, and would utter his sayings, which are said to have come true. One of the most well-known ones was, betide, whate'er betide, Hague shall be Hague of Bermerside." Up until the later 19th century, Thomas the Rhymer was one of the most quoted border poets.
Okay. Thomas the Rhymer. He's rhyming in poetry. Oh, I'm watching. The other day, I did one on a Romanian poet. And now I'm doing one on a Scottish poet. I don't know if it's a coincidence that that's happening there, but especially with me being a writer, take myself, and wow. But it seems like this guy had some sort of prophecies to his poetry, and they call it sayings. You know what I'm saying? But this is getting interesting. Let's keep going.
St. Tristram is generally accredited to him, and there are very few places in that locale that don't have a prophecy associated with it. But his sayings were not only local. Not only did he prophesy the death of Alexander III, he also foretold major Scottish battles, Bannockburn, Flodden, and Pinkie. The Earl of Dunbar visited Thomas one day, telling him he was annoyed that he was predicting so many national disasters, and threatened to give him a drubbing unless he told him some good news. Terrified, the Rhymer told him, "The first of blessings I shall thee show is by a burn that's called of bread, where Saxon men shall tine a bow, and find their arrows lack the head. Beside that brig, out o'er that burn, where water bickereth bright and sheen, shall many a falling courser spurn, and knights shall die in battle keen." This was a clear reference to the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, a burn that's called bread, the bannock. There is another version of this prophecy that just reads, "The burn o' breed shall Renfu read, red with the blood of those on the field of battle." Encouraged to hear such good news, the Earl demanded he tell him who should rule over the whole country. The Rhymer told him, "A French queen shall bear a son, shall rule all Britain to the sea. He of the Bruce's blood shall come, as near as to the 9th degree." He is, of course, speaking of Mary, Queen of Scots, and her son, James VI.
I'm going to have to look up Mary, Queen of Scots, because I'm going to tell you something. I have heard about her in history back home, but that was a lot of years ago, so I'm going to have to refresh myself. But I've heard of Mary, Queen of Scots before. It was taught in schools back home.
Thomas's life is supposed to have ended at Ercildoune, or Earlston. The story goes that a great feast had been prepared, and once it was finished, the poet entertained the gathering with his stories. After the guests had retired for the night, Lord Douglas couldn't sleep and was lying awake when he thought he heard footsteps. Starting up, he called his page, and together they called out to the intruder. No answer was given, but the noise of the footsteps continued. Rushing out of Ercildoune Tower, he saw an astonishing sight. A beautiful hart and hind of snowy white passing along the banks of the river. The Queen of the Fairies had come to take Thomas away. The Rhymer had foretold the Earl that this would happen when he said, "First he woke pale, then he woke dread. Never a word he spake but three. My sand is run, my thread is spun. this sign regardeth me. Having hung his harp around his neck, and saying his goodbye to friends, he told them of one final prophecy. To Learmont's name no foot of earth shall here again belong, and on this hospitable earth shall the hare bear her young. Crossing over the river Leader, he was lost from sight and never seen again. This was around 1296. Some said to hill and some to glen their wondrous course had been, but never in the haunts of living men again was Thomas seen. Other prophecies have since been attributed to true Thomas, with Sir Walter Scott publishing some of them in his Minstrelsy of the Scottish Border in 1803.
Cool.
At Eildon Tree, if yon shall be a brig or tweed, yon there may see, is attributed to the viewpoint on the Eildon Hill, where 3 bridges over the river were later constructed and could be seen from it. The tree no longer exists, but there was a stone placed there to mark where it had been, and it's believed it was from this very spot the Fairy Queen led Thomas into fairyland in the heart of the hollowed-out hill. Another cites York was, London is, and Edinburgh will be the biggest and bonniest of all the 3. Edinburgh expanded from its old town to its new town and has swallowed up many of the surrounding villages over the centuries. Another was, at Threeburn Grange in an after day, there shall be a lang and bloody fray, where a 3-thumbed wight by the reins shall hold 3 kings' horse, baith stout and bald, and the 3 burns 3 days will rin wi' blood o' the slain that fa' therein. It's thought this was a place in Berwickshire called Grange, where 3 small burns meet, and many years later, during the French Revolution, a Douglas was born with what supposedly looked like an extra thumb on one of his hands. Those in the locality who were superstitious believed the prophecy had come true, to some extent anyway. He is also credited with the curse at Fyvie Castle in Aberdeenshire. The castle had waited 7 years and a day for the rhymer to visit, and when he did, he was accompanied by a violent storm of wind and rain that stripped the trees of their leaves and shut the castle gates with a loud crash. However, it was observed near to the spot where Thomas stood that there was not enough wind to shake a pile of grass or move a hair of his beard. While there, he recited the Fyvie curse, so the legend goes. Known as the Weeping Atone's curse, he predicted, Fyvie, Fyvie, thou'll never thrive, as lang as there's in these stains 3. There's yen until the highest tower, there's yen until the lady's bower, there's yen aneath the water's et, and there 3 stains yez never get. 2 of the stones were discovered, one of which is kept in the castle, but the 3rd has never been found. These are just some of his many prophecies. Thomas the Rhymer, who is thought to have died somewhere around 1296, continued to be venerated for centuries after his death, and today there is a memorial to him at his beloved Eildon Hill, near Melrose.
But that was quite interesting. Learning a little bit more about the history of a person there. Now here's the thing that strikes me as I'm watching. They're talking about his prophecies and stuff. The question I have is, have you noticed that anybody who does anything prophetic is either something catastrophic or it's about war, or something like that. You never have a prophecy that I can remember. If there's one, comment down below and let me know. That just simply says there'll be peace and love and everybody will be dancing in the streets. Nothing like that. It's a bloody battle, a bloody this, or a war here, or so many will die, or great storms will come. Nobody ever puts that. Great peace will come, great love would come. Maybe if we switch it up and start saying stuff like that, we might have some way of, how should I put it? Talk it into existence. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did, you know what I mean? Especially a poet in history, a history that's steeped with poetry and stuff like that. And I know those parts, they have it, you know what I mean? They have it. And of course, you can find it in any culture, You go to Africa, you'll find a lot of soothsayers and stuff there, they would do their vibe and thing in Africa, you know what I mean? But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to this video so you could go check it out. I'll also leave links here of other videos of Scottish history that I have reacted to. One thing I want to remind you all of that, I have a membership section in my YouTube here. I'm doing behind the scenes stuff. I have a video up there of me going shopping, And I'm going shopping where I work, so y'all want to see some of the people that are knowing stuff in there, you know what I mean? I have another one coming up where I take you on a small tour of the city where I live, and a couple of one is a historic building, one is it's got a historic figure that supposedly passed through this area. There's a plaque. You see all of that, you know what I mean? But it's in my membership section up here. So if you feel so inclined, you could go join the membership. I think it's $2.99. And I'm starting to put more and more stuff up there. I have another video to edit and put up there, you know what I mean? So there's going to be comment in there. There's going to be content in there. There's also going to be commentary and storytelling. We're going to have some fun in there, all right? So check it out and thing. In the meantime, man, y'all take care of each other, all right? Cool runnings.